go perfectly well the first time. Right.
Right.
I mean, it's going to be a process. And if we get 40% right the first day and 52% the second day, as long as we're driving to a goal, then it's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely
So
agree.
sometimes, I mean, this is not really the way you want to do it, but sometimes even the absence of a bad habit is better than no habit.
That's very true.
Yeah, I got to write that down because
There's-
that actually came out pretty well.
Well, and there's so many things that we have to eliminate.
Right.
And maybe even to just make time to add in new things.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could look another devil's advocate. If it was so easy, we'd already be doing it, right? I don't think much of anything we've talked about for the last 45 or whatever minutes is that far out of the realm of common sense or sensible approach to anything academic. Hey, here's a real incredible news flash, people. Let's try to manage our time better.
Well,
Nobody ever thought of that, have they? but it's making it way up there on the list, not just
Exactly.
when we can possibly get to it. And it's not saying, gee, if my kid decides they're okay doing it, we're going to deal with it. You have to decide, along with maybe some of the other things I suggest, that these are things that you want to make important.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
And you see the value again of it in the long term of how it's going to affect all of what you're doing with your students.
Yes.
And your children. I think that's something that we lose perspective on because we see the lessons, we see the to-do list, we see those day-to-day, and I loved how you pointed that out, that those longer-term things, and it's that long-term goal of seeing our students succeed through the productive, accumulation of everything we're doing through their whole, I've homeschooled for, this is my 19th year. What I've done for 19 years hasn't been productive. And I sure hope, I've used my time wisely. So, yeah.
Well, I listen, I think there's no absolute judgment, right? There's no, this, for sure, there's no only one way to do any of this, right? I mean, because the approach can be as different as every kid's different. So I don't think anybody as a parent should beat themselves up because they're not the perfect homeschool parent,
no.
right? And I'm not suggesting you said that at all. But I think it's easy to question yourself and say, am I doing the right thing? Was this maybe a little bit of a mistake? Should I have done something else? Should I have brought somebody else in? And that's normal. I think that's natural. And I think it happens more often as your kids get older and the curriculum becomes more complex. And by nature, they have to start working more independently because you can't hold a kid's hand academically when they're 16 like you would when they're 8.
Yeah.
So if you've been doing this 19 years, you've had at least a few kids go from way young to
Graduated and
right,
beyond.
exactly. And then you got one coming out of college, or done college.
Yeah.
So I think, look, just the fact that happened is a level of success for sure, right? They went off to college, made it, graduated, I hope, in 4 years, not 9. Right.
5.
So all right, that's
good
not too bad. We'll take 5. But there, no matter what I am presenting today, there are things we can measure on a minute-to-minute, hour-to-hour, and day-to-day basis. But there are things that you just can't look at beyond the horizon of a half year, a year, or even a 3-4 year period.
Exactly.
It just takes that long for some of these things to manifest.
Yeah.
Right? So, but I think they're rooted in the daily activities, the daily habits, and the positioning that the reason we're doing it is for a long-term gain.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that summarizes what you talked about so perfectly. It is. It's those daily things, but it's what if we do them consistently and we make sure they stay at the forefront and we give them value, and not only in our own heads but to our children, that will then take them beyond, as you were talking about earlier, and apply them into their lives. These are their tools that we're giving them as instructional gifts to succeed in their careers, their college, wherever they go.